Nigel Farage is a man who we were hoping would be in Australia by now, but alas is not. Why? Well, we'll get into that right now. The great man joins us from London. Now, we wanted you to be here for the Donald Trump Jr. tour, but we all know that that didn't end up happening. Why? Because of mucking around when it came to the visas. But what about the behaviour of our Home Affairs Minister, who basically went full partisan, full political with the big FU to Donald Trump Jr. and by extension yourself? What do you think of this behaviour?
Look, I mean, I would have thought that as the AUKUS deal is developing, you know, a very, very important deal for Australia with America and the UK, the last thing, if you had half a brain in your head, that you'd want to do is to insult the family of the man who may well be the president come the end of 2024. And yet that's what she did. It was petty. It was stupid. And I mean, honestly, I'm amazed that people like this can rise so high in politics. It was utterly stupid. I'm not surprised that she deleted it. But honestly, that's no way to behave.
But also, as you spoke when you were in the man cave and I was able to look into your wonderful eyes, that'll piss off the lefties, a few months ago, right, is we've got a problem in Australia, which is you decide to have an event, right? You book a hall, people then decide to buy the tickets. Your only expectation is that the people who bought a ticket are the ones that go into the theatre. The event is for the people in the theatre. Oh, no, but people who had no plan of buying a ticket, they just hate you. They decide they're going to cause some trouble out the front of the event. So then you get told you have to pay for the police to police the people who want to shut down your event, as opposed to the protesters having to pay for the response to their protest. Now, this was again beginning to be the case around the Trump Jr. tour. This is a major problem in Australia, and too many people in this country sit back and go, oh, well, if you want to cause trouble, then you should pay for the response. BS!
Yeah, I mean, Melbourne was going to be the problem with this because, you know, despite the fact that the protest groups, and I could see some direct links with Antifa types, despite the fact online they were actually threatening physical violence, it isn't them that the police were going to charge money. It was us for holding a meeting. And I had this problem last time when I was there a few months ago, if you remember, in New South Wales. Yeah. It's almost like being charged a ransom to exercise your right to free speech. That is something I think that Australia needs to deal with if, of course, you want to be a genuinely democratic society where people can speak freely. So look, with that and with Don Jr.'s visa coming through at the last minute, the tour's not happened this week, and I'm sorry, I'd love to have been there. But, folks, here's the point. It's not cancelled, it's postponed. Both of us have got 6-month visas. We'll be there later in the year, I promise you.
Good. Weather's better anyway, mate. You'll enjoy yourself even more with even more sun. Now, let's talk about your own scenario and access to bank accounts. Anyone who's been following you for the past couple of weeks on social media will know that banks have been literally turning you away. Now, the idea that a free citizen is not able to get access to the financial system is a disgrace, but the reason for it is because you're a politically exposed person. Well, I assume that everyone who's involved in those Just Stop Oil protests or every other member of the media this would apply to? Or does it only apply to the bloke who was able to convince a majority of his own country, men and women, to leave the EU?
Well, of course, you know, this is all about discretion, isn't it? How banks exercise their rights. And there's no great secret that when it came to the Brexit vote, the big corporates were all in favour of Remain. It's the entrepreneurs that were in favour of Leave. I'd been with that banking group for 43 years. I'd had my personal accounts there. I had my business accounts there in the 1990s. I've got my business accounts there now. I maintain a healthy cash balance. I had a mortgage, which I repaid early. I'm a good customer, and yet I'm told, get thee gone. I'm given no explanation, no reasons whatsoever why, because they don't have to. This is all about international money laundering laws, agreements that have been made at G7, G20, OECD, and then in our case was put into a European Union directive. You see, I knew they'd get back at me in the end, somehow. And because of this, I'm told to go. I go round the rest of the corporate banking industry, nobody will have me. But I've been aware of this going on for some years. Prominent public figures having accounts closed. And worse still, everybody from the local window cleaner up to pawnbrokers having their bank account shut. And why? Because they deal in cash. You know, your local window cleaner could be an international money launderer. So we all throw our arms up in the air, compliance departments get involved. The whole thing is an absolute racket. It's a complete scandal. And I have blown this open. This has been going on for some years. I've now put this out there into the public domain. If they can cancel me, well, they can cancel you. And the week after me, a vicar went to his bank, and the whole front of the bank was festooned with Gay Pride Month, stickers and colours and rainbow flags. And the vicar said, all I want's a bank, I don't want a lecture, and they closed his account. So it's now being used as a tool of political oppression. If you think about cancel culture, the ultimate is to debank someone, because you cannot live or exist in the modern world without a bank account. And that's why I've blown the whistle. And don't think it can't happen in Australia, because it can.
Well, in Australia, it was a Conservative government that introduced new rules that say you can't have any cash transactions over $10,000. We know that there's sort of the march by the market to go to the sort of tap and go systems here. But the reality is the more you are dependent on that, the easier it is for the institution to turn around and say, you didn't read the fine print, or we can change the fine print, see you later, and then you end up getting locked out. Exactly what happens when you are depersoned in China. Thank you, Nigel. I want everyone to check out your show on GB News, part of the Flash app, or obviously the YouTube channel as well. Lovely to talk to you, mate.